Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me for part two of our journey to mobilize the spine, right? Releasing that chronic fatigue that can settle in towards the end of the day. So for this practice, we'll be moving up a little further away from the floor, although we're going to stay in close to kind of a tabletop position. So seated and tabletop. So I call this our sort of beginning to grow away from the earth. And we're really going to be taking the spine back into our undulations. But this time we're going to add in two more planes of movement. So we'll be taking the spine into some gentle twisting as well as some lateral stretching. So for this practice, all we need is a blanket if you like something underneath your knees. And we're also going to have a therapy ball or tennis ball for the very beginning of our practice. So gather your things and let's get started. All right, we're going to start with this therapy ball or tennis ball underneath one set of glutes. So I'm going to turn to the side here. We're going to take it, over to the right or the left. We'll do both sides. It doesn't really matter to me which side you get started on. And we're just going to take the fewest of moments here to get some circulation going into the glutes, right? We know that this area sits right in between our hamstrings and our low back. So just by doing a little bit of myofascial release to the glutes can go a long way for helping us, relieve some of the stiffness and fatigue in the back body. Take a couple more moments. I don't want us to wear out the wrists. And we're going to take this ball and you can move it over to the other side and spend some moments massaging your butt cheeks, right? Sometimes that low back fatigue, that stiffness, that achiness is coming from a sedentary lifestyle. So it can be really helpful to get in here and just get some circulation moving back into the tissues. All right, let's go ahead and come off the ball because that was quite a bit on the wrist, and that's really all that we're going to use it for today. So you can let that ball go off to the side. And let's meet each other here in a seated crisscross position. And we're going to take the hands to your knees and we're going to do some really simple cat-cows here, right? So we were doing this in part one, the spinal undulation. You're kind of pulling your navel back towards your spine, rolling towards that sacrum, tucking the chin, and then shift forward and find the extension, right? Lift the heart, lift the gaze. So seated cat-cows. We'll do a few more of these. Find your range of motion here. Maybe your shoulders are working too, a little forward roll of the shoulders and then leading with the collarbones as we lift the gaze. How about one more? And then from our end range here, let's meet back in our place of neutrality. And we're going to take these legs now into a seated bound angle. So soles of your feet come together and knees are out wide. This is why it's nice sometimes to have a blanket. You've got a little bit of padding underneath that pinky toe side of your feet. And we're going to use our hands to give ourselves a little calf massage. And I'll tell you why here in a moment. So take your hands and we'll hold on to the shins and you're going to use your thumbs and you're going to get in here and you're going to do a little bit of massaging into your calves, right? Because tightness in the calves can oftentimes be part and parcel to tightness in the low back. So just like we were doing that fascial release for the glutes, right? We're tending to this whole posterior chain of connective tissue. We are one integrated organism, and certainly that fascia is integrated. So we can tend to other areas of our sheaths of connective tissue and still get into releasing tension in the low back. So let's just see how much tightness we're holding here in these calves. You're moving from your calves all the way down towards the Achilles. And maybe these thumbs are starting to fatigue just a little bit here. Let's take maybe just another moment or two. And then we're going to pause. And you're going to hold on to those shins, and we're going to start to do torso circles. So sometimes this is referred to as stirring the pot. It's like you're stirring your torso around in that pelvic bowl, and you can kind of roll around on the sitting bones here. And we're still moving through our cat-cows, if you notice, right? As we come forward, there's some extension in the spine, and as we pull back, there's some flexion. We're going to do a couple more circles here. We're also finding a little more stretch in the hips. The hips are in external rotation right now. Do maybe one more in this direction. And then start to bring yourself back through to center, and we'll go the other way. And you might notice that one direction felt more fluid or feels more fluid than the other. That's pretty normal for all of us. We all have an innate way of moving in the world and a unique way of moving in the world. And that might be showing up, these movement patterns might be showing up in your body right now. So take another circle or two. And then let's start to bring ourselves back to center. And we're going to take these legs back into your crisscross position. All right, from here, we're going to add in these two other ranges of motion that I was mentioning at the beginning of class, right? We're going to be doing some side stretching and a little bit of gentle twisting. So let's start by inhaling these arms up alongside your ears. And we'll keep that right arm up, but let your left hand come to the floor. And then we'll start to walk this left hand out to the left. So this is what we call our coronal plane of motion. Nice big side stretch, especially through that right side body. All right, we're going to press through your left hand, and you're going to float all the way back up, both arms up to the sky. And we'll twist to the right now. So left hand goes to that right knee, right hand to the floor behind you, right? This is that third movement plane, right? Our transverse rotation. All right, from here, bring the arms all the way back up. And we'll take that lateral side stretch now over to the right. And then press through your right hand, come back up. And we're going to take our twist now to the left. So I'm going to cue us. We're going to move through this a couple more times. We're going to start to do it with the breath. So nice big inhale, sweeps the arms out wide and up. Exhale, side stretch to the left. Good. Inhale back to center. And exhale, you're going to twist to the right. Inhale to center. And exhale, side stretch right. Inhale to center. And exhale, twist to the left. Let's go through that one more time. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, side stretch left. Inhale, back up to center. And exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, center. Side stretch right. Inhale, center. And exhale, let's twist to the left. All right, I'm going to meet you back at center. And you can release your arms all the way down. And we have officially introduced all planes of movement. So let's turn this around and come into our tabletop. It'll feel really nice to come out of that seated position. Sometimes it's not so easy to sit upright when we're that close to the floor. And you're going to fold your blanket back if you're using one so that we can have our feet to the sticky mat and our hands to the sticky mat. And just for a moment, let's turn these hands out towards the long edge of the mat. And then you're going to go one more rotation. So your hands point back towards you. And we're going to draw circles with your torso. So you'll go over to the left, and then forward, and then to the right, and then back. And you know, these can be a size of circle that again feels really nourishing for you. I know this is a lot to kind of turn these wrists back around. Maybe we work at the computer a lot during the day, right? So it's a really nice opportunity to counter stretch the forearms, the wrists, the hands, circle around the other way. Make it a size of circle, again, that feels good in your body. And then we'll pause back at center. You can release these hands back around. And we're going to come back into our spinal undulation. So cat-cows, essentially. You're going to drop your belly, lift your heart, lift your gaze. And then from this place, let's round the spine. Oof, come into that cat. Really stretch your back. Let's do this one more time. You're going to drop the belly, lift the heart, lift the gaze. Notice that pelvis is tipping forward. And then round the spine. All right, I want you to keep your rounded spine. And we're going to set the hips back towards the heels. And we're going to take this into another back release. So you're going to walk your arms over to the right. And you're really going to plant these palms, and we'll let the hips now drop over to the left. So getting a little more side stretch, a little more tractioning, especially if we keep these hands rooted. And of course, there's a sweet little squeeze in the groin and the knees. That really helps us also clean out the lymph nodes so that our lymphatic system is flowing with a little more ease. All right, bring the arms and the hips back through to center. And we'll take it over to the other side. So walk your arms over to the left and really plant those palms so that as you shift your hips over to the right, there's a really nice sense of tractioning and stretch. All right, from here, let's bring hips and arms all the way back through to center. And we'll lift ourselves up into that tabletop again. Okay, so from our tabletop this time, you're going to turn those hands back out so they're facing the long edge, but this time walk your hands closer to the long edge of your mat. And you'll take your hands and you'll kind of grip around the edges of your mat. And we'll tuck these toes, and we're going to come into one round of our cat-cows here. So start by dropping the belly, lifting the heart, lifting the gaze. And then round your spine. Go back into your cat shape. You're going to keep the cat, keep gripping the edges of the mat, keep your toes tucked, and let's set the hips back towards the heels now. That's a little more stretch into our feet. And we know when we mobilize the fascia in the feet that we're really tending. This is good self-care for your knees and for your hips. So let's not be afraid to stretch our feet. All right, take another breath or two here. I know it can sometimes be an intense sensation. So breathing that mindful breath. And then we're going to release our grip from the edges of the mat. Take your hands all the way back to the floor. We're going to press to the ball mounds of those feet, and you're going to lift your hips to downward facing dog and take a couple moments to kind of pedal and shift. Right? Dance your dog. Again, we're back to this idea of moving our bodies in a way that feels joyful. Well, I don't want to keep us here too long. So from this shape, let's start to walk our hands back to our feet. And you're going to find a really healthy bend to your knees. And we're going to reach across for those elbows, and we're going to drop the crown of the head, right? So such a good counter pose to having been upright all day. right? We get to change our perspective. It's a gentle inversion. But I do want to come in for a little more low back release while we're here. So from this place, let's find an even bigger bend to your left knee. And you're going to bring your left elbow to touch that left leg wherever it touches. Lift your right elbow and look underneath. It's like you're playing peekaboo, but no one's looking at you. All right, beautiful stretch in the outer hip, low back, maybe even feeling that down into your IT band. And then bring it back through to center. We'll switch sides. Really big bend into your right knee. It's more exaggerated. Right elbow comes to touch that right leg wherever it touches. And we're lifting the left elbow and looking underneath. Let's take another breath here. And then start to bring yourself back to center. And once you're back at center, you're going to bend these knees enough to get your hands all the way back to the floor. And we're going to walk ourselves back to downward facing dog. And when you get to that sort of inverted V shape, like a mountain pose, find a nice big in-breath through your nose and a nice big open mouth surrendered exhale. And we're going to lower these knees all the way back to the earth. And you're going to set your hips back towards your heels just one more time here. Come onto your right or left hip. Swing your legs around in front. And we're going to start to make our way all the way back down onto our backs. All right, from this place, let's bring these knees in towards your chest. This is the last thing that we're going to do for part 2 here, right? So knees are in towards your chest, and you're actually going to cross your ankles or maybe your shins, right? It doesn't really matter to me which one goes on top because we're going to do both. But as you cross your ankles or your shins, I want you to let your knees go really wide. So your knees are actually heading towards your armpits. Okay, right now I have my hands kind of wrapping around to hold my shins. You could stay here and give yourself a little rock side to side. I actually like to take my hands now and hold the soles of my feet. So it's like palm to palm, palms of hands to palms of feet. And then when you've got your feet, you can squeeze it in. It's like a supine Sukhasana, right? It's that same crisscross position we were in at the beginning of part 2, but we're on our backs. And this really gives us such a glorious stretch across the back of the pelvis and the low back. And of course, I'm rocking side to side. I'm always kind of shifting and moving. I find that it helps me get into different areas of my body. But you can rock or you can pause and breathe and be, right? Enjoy the squeeze. All right, wherever it is that you are, whether you're moving and rocking or whether you're still, let's pause all together and let's just change the cross of the legs. This side might be a little bit different. You might have more range of motion. You might have less range of motion. Right? Again, maybe you're holding the soles of your feet like I am, or maybe you're just holding those shins and giving yourself a little rock. Take a couple more moments here. And then from this place, we are going to release those feet. And you're going to stretch those legs all the way out. And we're going to take some moments to let the back body integrate part 2. And just like in part 1, if stretching the legs all the way out tends to put a little more compression into the lumbar spine, invitation to keep the bend to the knees, walk your feet wide, and let your knees drop in towards center, right? This is always going to give us a little more space across the back of the pelvis and the low back. Maybe we settle in here for another 2 or 3 minutes, letting gravity support us, letting body integrate the movement, muscles, bones, fascia, organs. I am going to leave you here and say salud. Here's to our health. And maybe I'll see you for part 3.